This is Bryce Van Patten for Metal Express Radio, and today my guest is Markus Grosskopf, bass player and founding member of the German power metal legends Helloween. How are you doing today, Markus?
I'm pretty well so far.
Awesome. Well, Helloween is set to release the follow-up to 2015's God-Given Right, the full-length album just titled Helloween. And can you talk a little bit about the path that led from the last studio album, where you guys are a 5-piece band, to where the band is today with 7 members?
It's too long ago. I can't remember, really. Just a couple of years ago. No, things are very, very different now. And I think it all turned out to be very, very well, we had the routine to do Helloween with 5 members, of course, but then having 2 more members in the ship, it means that there's like 2 more guys coming in, releasing their creativity in the studio. That means when you try a song, when you arrange it, when you start playing and all that, there's 2 more guys coming out with even more ideas and even more stuff to try until your head is exploding, as if we wouldn't have enough songwriting persons in Helloween. Now we have 2 more. It's like 6 songwriters are working on a track. It's like a lot of ideas coming together, trying all this stuff out and finding out what the song really needs is really a big piece of work. But in the end of the day, listening back to the album, what's on it, it's just like every second working on it was quite worth it, I think.
I was going to ask, was the idea for Helloween to, kind of enlarge the lineup at all inspired by perhaps Michael Schenker's Temple of Rock or Schenkerfest, where he kind of put together a super group?
The idea was just like to get the 2 people, to get Kai and Michael just back in, and we as we didn't really, we didn't want to fire 2 people just to get 2 more people in. What we thought of, it would be very, very stupid firing a very good singer and a very good guitar player just to bring a very good singer and a very good guitar player back in,
Exactly.
And so we thought the great idea was just like asking Andy. It was also depending on Andy saying, all right, let's try this. I'm in for it, I'm accepting a singer right next to me and sharing the job, and they come along very, very well after a while, From the beginning on, they had like ideas how to share the vocals, how to share old songs, how to sing songs together and all that stuff, and it gives us so much more variety. It gives us a range of vocalists. Even Kai is singing, and it's just amazing, it feels just great. And to extend the whole thing was the very, very best idea we could have,
I noticed that the songwriting is spread around quite a bit over the album and the bonus tracks. I haven't heard the bonus tracks yet, but I noticed Andy does have a very big part in the songwriting, even on some of the songs that Michael's singing on, which and on Fear of the Fallen, how it's Andy's baby and he sings most of it, but then the choruses are Michael's. So that's, to me, it was really kind of mind-boggling how well their voices work together, and how there's just seems to be no ego. It's just whatever's best for the song. Can you?
It's just like as we were hitting the studio, and we had like 1 month or 5 weeks time to arrange stuff together and to try things out and to work together to record some stuff and working on it and trying out, do some demo tapes in the studio all together. But then the pandemic hit us all, and we weren't allowed to go back into the studio with 10 people. It's like the band, including Charlie Dennis and some technicians or something, So we had to split up there from that point on, and that meant I was recording the bass in Hamburg with Kai later on doing some guitars. And the other guys were working on different studios because the pandemic wasn't allowing us to go into the studio with a lot of people, So this way, I wasn't really involved into the decision what singer is singing, who's singing what, and and all that, So I was kind of very, very surprised when I was listening to the very, very first mix, So because I didn't know shit.
Right.
That was very, very interesting for me as well, And it still is. I hear things on the record I didn't hear before.
I was going to ask, how is it working with old friends Kai and Michael again after so many years?
Great. They come in and they spread their creativity around everywhere, Everybody was just like real on the track, and working flow was very, very good. Although it was like a lot of material till your head is exploding and everybody's just coming up, throwing ideas at you while you're playing, while you're recording. Try this, try that, try that, try this. Of course you try, but you can only try one thing at the time, It took some time, but it's been worth each and every minute, listening back to the album. But that's a great thing about Helloween. That's how you get the big variety of songs. Every songwriter, every member is coming from a very different background. Myself, I'm just coming from the punk, going directly into metal and hard rock and stuff like this. And then you have Sasha coming more from the progressive side of hard rock, heavy metal, stuff like this. Andy does this very 80, like even sometimes pop like hard rock metal stuff. Mm-hmm. And then if Mikey writes a song, it's always an anthem, And then Kai with his great ideas. And all this together, we find out if we work on something, it automatically becomes Helloween, no doubt about it. And that's a great thing about this lineup,
For me, when I listen to the record, the first song, Out for Glory, it sounds like it could have just came off right after Pink Bubbles Go Ape or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's also having Kai and Michael in the band. This record will also leading you back into the old times, so you have the link into the past. But then having Andy stuff on it and Vicky stuff on it leads you to the present, right? And if Skyfall is not really having a proper ending from the story, from the storyboard, it can also lead you into the future. So you have all these connections from all the eras from Helloween. And that's what I kind of really do like,
Yeah, I love it. I mean, for years, fans have debated which singer was their favorite. I remember the last time I saw you guys, just when I went in the restroom, there's guys in the bathroom arguing about who should be singing. And so that argument all comes to an end now because we're blessed with having Andy, Kai, and Michael all doing vocals. And
great.
Can you talk about any other ways this has kind of changed the dynamic of the band?
Oh, yeah, you have a lot of people running around on stage. You almost need traffic lights, But it's great if you see Michael and Andy performing. They are really, really together, and it's just like working. It feels really, really good. There's a really good feeling about it, They sit together, philosophizing, sharing a couple of shrimps, or eating cheesecake, by the way.
Nice.
And it's great to see. It's like the essence of it is like the understanding amongst each other is very, very good. And so that way gave us realizing this gave us the idea. All right, with that kind of vision, we can also go back into the studio recording an album.
Are the songs new, or like written for the album recently, or are they kind of like a collection of treasures that were gathered over the last 5 years?
No, actually the brand new. I don't know if Kai had this idea for Skyfall. I don't know how long he's got that idea, but to me, it's all. I never heard a note from it. It's all brand new stuff, and we had so many ideas when we were hooking up, like half a year, 3/4 of a year after the last tour. We were hooking up in a conference room from some hotel in Hamburg, listening to all those ideas being created by the individual members separately at home. It was like a hell of a lot of material. Everybody had loads of ideas, and then thinking of what can you do, can you use, what can you work on, where can you start, We gave us another month just taking all those ideas, listening to it to find a way which song is going to be just jumping right in your face, or which song can be, there's some songs always waiting to be done in the studio. They need more love, but you gotta hear it, you gotta listen to it carefully, thinking, all right, I can imagine if we work on that in the studio, it becomes better and better. And some of them songs just directly jumping into your face, and that's what you got to find out. That's why we gave us a lot of time listening to it, trying to find out what songs would take.
Can you talk a little bit about the recording process and what was so special about this album as far as the drum kit that you used?
Yeah, that was a great idea. I mean, that was a try. If you've seen the drum solo session that Danny created together with old Ingo on the screens. And that was an idea to involve old Ingo because it was about the keepers and all that stuff. And he's a part of it. So we kind of got him into the live shows with this old material we got. Danny did a great job cutting it and bringing it on stage. And so it was one of the most emotional moments on stage for that tour, right? And so we were thinking, how can we get a bit of that vision, a bit of that, emotional kind of Ingo feeling stuff back into the studio. And we thought it's a good idea contacting the guy who has this very, very drum kit that he used on several tours when he was in the band. We got that in the studio. And in the same studio, we were working with Ingo using the same old tape machines, the same old analog tape machines. And so that gave us a chance to get that kind of Ingo spirit for the recordings, And it was really, really inspiring to do it like this.
So did you record the whole album in analog?
It was parts. I mean, the drum was done in analog. I don't know what they did with the guitars and the vocals because, as I said before, we had to split up. We went in different studios, work in parallel. And I don't know what the others did. I played my very, very old Ampeg where there's a lot of valves in. I played very, very old Fender basses as well as Sandberg basses. It's been very, very old vintage stuff, I had like a jazz bass coming from 64. It's even 1 year older. It's even 1 year older than I am. And then
those are beautiful, beautiful basses. So
it's just like amazing how they inspire you for a song. And then I used a very old 71 precision bass and some of my Sandberg collection, and it was working out very well, very inspiring. Some of the stuff were very old, and that's always like very inspired by that.
Indestructible and We Are Real are your songs on the record. Can I just ask how you come up with song ideas, and does Indestructible have any special meaning for you?
Yeah, when the two blokes came back, we were doing the tour, and it was just like of course, you create this third energy on stage, giving it and trying to shoot it into the audience. But the thing is, what was coming back from the audience was so overwhelming. It was like real goosebumping us all up. It's just like amazing. We sit. After the show, was sitting there, being amazed by the energy the audience creates while we are playing. And that, after a while, you got the feeling you're indestructible, And also, like, the idea was also like, Helloween has always been there, no matter if there's like an event like this. Being on the road, being in the studio for so many years. We're not talking about always having fun, always being on a big party, There was like real big ups and real big downs as well. So we had to suffer, and we learned a lot, and that surviving all this gives me the feeling to be indestructible. And right after we recorded that song, that fucking virus came along, destroying it all. But now numbers are sinking, and the virus is hopefully, going away soon, fucking off. And, we are still there. So
absolutely.
Still indestructible.
Absolutely.
We're survived. Hopefully we will all survive the pandemic in a very, very good shape,
Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about Skyfall? And are there 3 different mixes? I mean, I have the single with the 6-minute version, radio edit, and then it has the special version, which seems to have all three guys singing a lot more. And then now is the one on the album a different mix from those two?
I think this is just because of the cut version. We had to cut it down to 6 minutes for the video shootings, and then this will be a version, and then there's an alternative for that. But on the actually record, you probably have like the full version, which is 11, 12 minutes,
Yeah,
and the alternative vocal version for that as well. I guess I'm not really sure. I think they done it like this because they couldn't decide which version is better than the other. So we brought out the alternative versions as well, you know.
Yeah. Well, I have to say they're all really good, but I love the alternative version that's on the single. So
yeah, it's nice. I like it too.
You've mentioned how COVID has kind of affected you guys in recording. Is there any other thing you want to talk about, how it's affected your life?
Well, I mean, I'm a bit privileged here, touring a lot, and we could survive this without any big problems or something like this till the next tour is coming up, you know. So it kind of affected me in a way. It was really, really scaring in the beginning. You had this, we weren't allowed to go out, you weren't allowed to drink on this alcohol on the streets. I mean, you're not allowed to do so in America anyway, but we do so in Germany. So that was a limitation, a big one. And they shut down the shops and all that. It was really, really spooky, and everybody was really kind of scared. And this kind of Armageddon feeling was surrounding you all the time. And when winter time came up, it was getting dark earlier. It was even more spooky, you know. But yeah, now numbers are sinking. And we kind of went through it without any big scars or something. But I have many friends. They lost business, they lost jobs, little shops and all that, being closed for a year and a half. They really couldn't survive it. Or I have friends playing in top 40 bands. They are my age, you know. On the weekends, they go out playing for like weddings or birthday parties or something, making a living. And if they don't do this during the week, they work in the service and bars and stuff like this, behind the bar or in the service. And with the pandemic, both of them jobs are gone, you know, and they had to feed their children. So I saw some people really, really having big problems. And I feel sorry for them, hoping for them that everything is getting better soon, you know.
Yeah, I'm hoping too that everything will come around. I have a best friend that's worked as road crew for the last 20 years.
Yeah, road crew can do nothing. I mean, even if you lose your job in the pandemic it's not really easy to find another job. The crew was just like working when we were going back into the studio. The crew was doing the same circle, touring with some other bands, you know. And if this not happened, they work in some local clubs or something, doing their technique over there. But this wasn't all allowed, you know. So it's been a big impact. It had a big impact.
So what are the band's plans for supporting this album tour-wise?
It's like we actually rebooked the tour 3 times. When the management got bored, they just rebook a whole tour, you know, gig by gig.
Right. And then see how much of it actually stays, right?
Yeah, I mean, now we are booked it for next year, April, hoping that for Europe at least. And the end of the year, we might come to North America and Canada maybe, hoping that everything will be controllable, hoping that everything will be a bit easier. We start in April in Europe, hoping that the numbers are sinking and vaccination is going on, and you know, hoping that this summertime where everybody has holidays and we're allowed to travel again are not really increasing the numbers again, you know. But a lot of people are vaccinated now, and a lot of people had it already. So there's a lot of hope going with it that the numbers are raising a little, but not as much as they used to raise in the past, you know.
And you already mentioned possibly in the U.S. next year, depending on how things go. That would be excellent to see you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we're just looking forward to do our thing, you know.
You're just waiting for everything to kind of come back a little bit. So
That's it. I'm renovating my flat now. That's all I can do. And I went to the sea, going fishing, hanging out with friends. But a couple of weeks ago, was only allowed to hang out with one friend at the time, drinking secretly. That's what I did in wintertime. I had some little bottle of rum with me and bought some tea from the tea shop and put the rum in, sitting down, drinking a little, and then go back home cooking, Been my wintertime on the seashore.
I was going to ask, is there, what would you say is like the craziest thing that happened to you over this last year with all this going on?
Yeah, it's been it's like seeing that nothing really it was normal that you did before. Suddenly shops were closed, you weren't allowed to drink outside, you couldn't hook up with friends. It shows you that actually nothing is normal and everything is just like very fragile in a way, The life you used to know is just not there constantly, and it can be hidden by some situation like this, and suddenly it's not the life you probably used to know. It's strange, but hoping that it gets better. And it was almost 2 years now, and you see that everything is pretty much fragile, hanging on a very, very thin string.
I felt like when the whole pandemic hit, as empty as the streets were with no cars, nobody out,
Yeah.
I felt like I was watching Last Man on Earth or something,
Yeah, yeah, that was funny. I mean, it was funny to watch this. It was strange, of course, and really, really spooky. But on the other hand, I enjoyed the silence because there were no cars on the street. I never heard a big city being that silent.
Yeah, it was amazing, wasn't it? Is there anything else that you would like to add or talk about or mention that I might have missed?
Yes, can't wait to go out there, with a big Helloween circus. We go out with Hammerfall, which is a very, very special guest, some friend of ours. We know the guys, and it's going to be a very, very good tour. They have like 1 hour, 15 minutes playing time. After that, you will have like 2 hours 15, 2 hours 20 Helloween. I think it's a cool killer pack what's coming at you, hopefully in April, and then hoping that everything is getting better and life goes back to normal routine,
Okay, last question. Do you have any other upcoming videos that you can tell us about?
We have ideas, yes, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to tell the secrets now.
Well, I have to try, Markus.
All right.
All right. Well, hey, I want to thank you again for joining us. The new album is incredible. I just reviewed it for our station, and I don't give out tens, but I did for you guys.
All right. Thank you very much.
I just have to let you know, because for me, it was like, I felt like on one song I was listening to Helloween Mach 2, and then the next song it sounds like Helloween from God Given Right, and it's just, like you say, the way it goes back and forth between Andy and Michael, and then also the way they share, and then, Kai on top of that, it's just, it's for fans, it's kind of like a dream come true. So
yeah, for us it's something very, very special, because before we went into the studio, before we didn't even wrote songs for it, we didn't know how it turned out to be, and so we were surprised, with the result, and showing us, well, it's going to work. It's going to work out pretty good, We were really surprised, and I love it.
Yeah, I love it. I think it'll be one of the top albums of this year. Easily.
Right.
Yeah, look forward to seeing more videos, and can't wait to see you guys on tour. Let's hope it all gets back to normal. And
all right.
And just thanks once again, Markus, and you have an awesome day.
My pleasure. Cheers.